Hello, my name is Elise, or Caffeine and Misery, and today I'm going to be talking about one of the brand new decks to come out, DZ-BT-13, and a retrain, renew version, color shift, that's kind of how I've been referring to the Phantoms, of one of my favorite units to ever be printed, all the way back from the beginning of these series. That would be the LettiaMateS Magnolia Fantôme. Much like her original counterpart, Magnolia is able to have her units attack from the back row. And along with that, this is actually a very defensive deck. She can buff the shield value with her Fantôme skill. Beyond that, let's go ahead and just get right into the cards, starting with, of course, the LettiaMateS lot as the starter, and the Grade 1 LettiaMateS Goddess, who, when wrote upon by LettiaMateS Lattice, checks the top 7 cards of your deck, and you'll pick a LettiaMateS card in a normal order and dump both. On that, during your turn, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Magnolia in its card name, she gets +2 on Rearguard Circle. Moving on to our grade 2s, we've got LettiaMateS Lattice, who, when wrote upon by a Magnolia, you get to choose a grade 2 or lower LettiaMateS in your drop zone, call it to Rearguard Circle, and if you don't call, you call out Lattice and Soul Charge 1. And when she attacks, as long as you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Magnolia in its card name, she'll get +5k until end of battle, so she'll be a 15k beater. And of course, the girl herself, LettiaMateS Magnolia Fantôme. She's got an act ability and auto ability, the auto being her Fantôme skill. The act is a once per turn to Soul Blast 1, pick two of your rearguards until end of turn, then are able to attack from the back row. Then, if the opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, for single counterblast, until the end of turn, the back row is going to gain an extra 10k. Until the end of the opponent's turn, Magnolia will gain drive and grade +1, so she'll be a grade 4 3 drive checks, which actually means you cannot run the original Sanctitude because you have to have a grade 3 or lower Vanguard. You can run the second one though, just fine. I know that her Fantôme skill is an auto to, at the end of your turn, buy a total of 1 or 2 Crimson Moon cards from hand, soul, or drop, and you'll pick up to the same number of non-sentinel rear guards and add them to hand. And until the end of the opponent's turn, she will get continuous. All of your units with LettiaMateS in the card names get +5k shield once, or if you bound 2 moons, she'll get it twice. So if you do 2 moons, your LettiaMateS will gain 10k. Moving right into the main deck, first off, let's quickly talk about the moons. I'm personally on 3 copies of Enveloping the Planet is a Crimson Disease. This is the rare moon, not the double rare. It has the same abilities to be able to not be bound other than by the ability of Fantôme skill, but duct tape to that skill is also that it's treated as Crimson Moonlight, so you can't run 4 and 4 of them, unfortunately. In the bind zone, it cannot be moved to other zones, and when it's in damage zone, you can put it into drop and put the top card of your deck in face up, so you can't lose them to damage. The only difference between this and Crimson Moonlight is that this does not have a fail condition. When you activate it with it, which it can be activated if you have a Fantôme Vanguard, you check the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal it, and perform one of the following, and shuffle the deck. You either call it if it's a unit card with grade less than your Vanguard, or you add it to hand if it's a Crimson Moon. The Crimson Moonlight also draws you a card if you do not reveal. The reason I'm not on Crimson Moonlights is because every card in this deck, except for triggers, is a hit. There is not a fail condition. And because of that, and because of the deck thinning being incredibly good, you are actually at risk of decking out off those draws, in my opinion. Moving on to, we've also got 3 Persona Rides, and that is the only grade 3 card we're on. Moving into our grade 2s, we're going to start out with the LettiaMateS DZ, who, when placed on Rearguard Circle for single counterblast, you get to check the top cards of your deck equal to the number of LettiaMateS units you control, add 1 of them to hand, then shuffle up the deck. Along with that, when she attacks, as long as you have a grade 3 or greater Magnolia, she'll get +5 until the end of that battle. And at the end of the battle, you can put her soul to bounce 1 of your rear guards. So she's another way to bounce. Magnolia is already going to bounce 1 or 2. She can bounce a 3rd. So you're always going to be able to keep your board clear. Moving on, we've also got 4 copies of LettiaMateS Alpin. This is a Fantôme version of the original Magnolia countercharger, which is fantastic. Because that means this deck already has a countercharger. She gets plus 5k as long as a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Magnolia, 10k instead if it's grade 4, and at the end of the battle, she attacks. As long as you have a grade 3 or greater Magnolia, for throwing energy and retiring her, you will countercharge 1, soul charge 1. Continuing on through our grade 2s, we've got quite a few in this deck. We got 3 copies of LettiaMateS, who, as an act ability in drop, as long as you have a grade 3 or greater Magnolia Vanguard, for 2 energy, she can call herself back. And when she attacks, if you have a grade 3 or greater Magnolia, you can have her get plus 5. And at the end of the turn, she's retired. That doesn't matter because you can bounce her before end of turn. Rounding out the units for our grade 2s, I'm on 2 copies of Frostbitten Wish Volshabon. This is the Moon Searcher cycle for Lyrical. This is the only one that didn't change nations, funny enough. When she's discarded for Ride, as long as you have a Fantôme Vanguard, for either Soul Blast 1 or Energy Blast 3, you get to search your deck for Crimson Moon and add to hand. And when put on Guardian Circle from hand, as long as you have a Fantôme Vanguard, for Counterblast 1 or EB3, you get to draw a card. We're only on 2 because, honestly, you're probably going to see the cards. She doesn't really do much for the deck outside of that. This deck really wants you to be on LettiaMateS names, so we're trying to max out on them. Continuing on through our grade 2 cards, we've got some Blitz Orders too. This is a defensive deck. I really wanted to really lean into that, so I'm on 3 copies of Still Knocked, which is a Blitz Order that performs one of 2 skills. Either you give the attack unit plus 10, plus 20 if the opponent's attacking unit is a rear guard, or if your opponent's attack already hit the Vanguard this turn, you get to give it plus 30. Really good defensive card. And right our grade 2s is our Regardless piece, of course. It's Twin Cast. We're sticking with maxing out on our defense as much as we can. Going into our grade 1s, the only actual rearguard we have is the LettiaMateS Tarnu, who, when you place your grade 3 or greater Vanguard, you get to call her from drop as long as you don't have a copy of her, and she'll get 5 if she's called this way. And while you have a grade 3 or greater Magnolia, she gets intercept and can intercept from the back row, which, with Magnolia's Fantôme skill, this is a 10 to 15k interceptor that your opponent would have to use removal on instead of just punching. And we've got 4 copies of just regular Sentinels. No, none of the other Sanctitude because we're on so many Blitz Orders. Moving into our grade 0s, first and foremost, we actually have a grade 0 main deck card that isn't a trigger. Mates with You, which is the deck-specific order aside from enveloping the planet as a Crimson Disease. This is an order that can be played from drop as long as you have a grade 3 or greater Magnolia Vanguard, and you play it with a single Soul Blast as long as you have a Vanguard with LettiaMateS in its name. You'll bind the card until end of turn. You're able to play an additional order, but only Crimson Moon orders. You get to check the top 3 cards of the deck, choose any other number of them to dump, shuffle up, then you'll get to call a LettiaMateS with grade less than or equal to your Vanguard from drop, or put it into hand if it's a normal order. And if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Magnolia's name, choose 2 rear guards and they'll get 5, or 4 if you Persona Road already. So this is going to be one of your main ways to rebuild your board, alongside Tarnu and Simius being able to bring themselves back. This is how you're going to get back the Alpins and the Diodashes. And it also lets you go ahead, I have the Crimson Disease in drop, I only bound 1 last turn, I can get it back and use it to build a board really fast. This deck is superb at building fast boards. Going into our trigger lineup, I'm on 7 critical triggers, just the regular ones, no soul crits. And then I'm on 2 and 2 of the shield fronts and the shield draws. The reason I'm on 2 and 2 is because sometimes you're going to want to be able to put the Baratois power onto the back row. So this lets me have more options to actually do that. And you still have a lot of good guard value. This is getting you extra cards on hand. It's likely getting you another LettiaMateS, which is a 10k guard, so that kind of nullifies what you're losing out by not having the 4 Palvies while still being able to boost up the back row. Of course, 4 heal triggers. And my OT of choice for this deck is the fantastic Finale Katrina. This is the lyrical Nation OT, which has the additional effect that you get hit during your turn. All of your rear guards get plus 10k until end of fight. The reason I'm on this one is because since you have the extra 2 attacks from the back row, this turns from just being a 20k buff to a column, which is kind of whatever, honestly, in my opinion, to, hey, that's 5 attacks that are getting that's 4 attacks that are getting plus 10, plus an extra 10k to the booster, which is already going to be plus 5 most of the time. From here, let's go ahead and go into the pros and cons. One of the biggest ones being this deck will just live. Magnolia's Fantôme skill means that everything in the deck except for exactly Volshabon and the triggers is at least a 10k guard. That via the effect. Not only that, because you have so much recursion in the deck with the mates with you and with Semius and Tarnu being able to bring themselves back, everything in this deck is actually just free to discard to ride, throw at guard. You build your boards back so quickly that you are fine to just keep throwing your units out. And it also means you have a little bit of space to play additional blitz orders to make it harder to survive, or harder to die, I mean. But one of the biggest issues of that kind of stems from its survivability of it doesn't really have a kill state. Hey, Magnolia gains an extra drive check, but you're relying on triggers, you're relying on the multi-attack. But these are swings that are ranging from about 35k, 35 to 45k, most of the time before triggers. So 1 defensive will typically make these easier to guard. So you do need to keep that in mind a lot when kind of routing out your plays. But because of how much deck thing you're able to do with Dirash, enveloping, mates with you, because of how much you can just throw at guard in the early games, you're minimizing damage, and how little counter this deck needs. Dirash and Magnolia are the only ones who really need the counterblast. Magnolia doesn't need it till your opponent's on grade 3, so going first, you can freely limit it to 1 damage so that your Dirash is live. You can get some pretty nice hand advantage while minimizing how much damage you're actually taking, especially since Magnolia clears back everything when put in conjunction with Dirash. And that's also going to help with some of the upcoming formats, because we are going to be looking at CBD soon. So that's being able to wipe your board like that and keep the guard value is going to be very, very important. But this is just my Magnolia Fantôme list. If you guys like the video, you like listening to me yap, go ahead, do all of the YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. I hope you guys are enjoying this very big streak of daily videos. This is not going to be my regular, but this is kind of just to celebrate that I'm back. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Ciao.